Somewhere in your head, there is a detective who never sleeps. His only case right now, a text message that says, "Thanks." Period. No emoji. He drinks terrible instant coffee, he hasn't taken a vacation in 7 years, and his desk is an absolute disaster of manila folders and cold case boxes stacked to the ceiling. Detective Brain pulls out the magnifying glass, evidence collected, one delayed reply, slightly colder punctuation, and a suspect who blinked twice. Detective Brain has watched 3 crime documentaries and now believes he qualifies as emotional FBI. He believes every silence is a confession and every misplaced period is an act of war. You've probably reopened that same conversation more times than the person who actually typed it. The question isn't why you overthink a bad interaction. The question is why your mind treats every unknown in your life like an unsolved crime, and why it refuses to close the case. We usually tell ourselves that we overthink because we care too much, or because we're overly analytical. That's the false assumption. Nobody overthinks tying their shoes, boiling pasta, or brushing their teeth. You give Detective Brain a concrete task, a clear beginning, middle, and end, and he finishes the job, reaches for his heavy red stamp, and slams it down. Case closed. You only overthink in the exact places where certainty is impossible. Which brings us to the detective's basic glitch. Your brain mistakes uncertainty for unfinished business. The corkboard is already up, and the red string is out. You cook the meal, finish the errand, and close the file, but feed him a question with no objective answer. Was that the right choice? What if I fail? Do they actually like me, or are they just being polite? And Detective Brain immediately upgrades the file to priority 1. An unanswered question feels like an open front door in an empty house at 2 a.m. He leaves the file open on his desk, staring at it under the glow of a single desk lamp. Because every overthinker secretly believes the exact same lie. That one more thought will finally be the thought that lets them stop thinking. When Detective Brain realizes he can't force certainty out of the future, he sighs, turns around, unlocks the dusty bottom drawer, and drags cold cases back out of storage. He slides a folder across the desk and starts trying to edit yesterday. You find yourself in the shower 3 days late, pacing the tile and testing out brand new cross-examination angles to negotiate with a past that is already settled. You're giving brilliant, scathing closing arguments to a shower wall. And reality doesn't negotiate. Your brain looks back at a past mistake using evidence you only gathered after the damage was done. It accuses your past self of negligence using facts your past self couldn't possibly know. It's like arresting someone on Tuesday for breaking a law passed on Wednesday. You aren't planning. You're arguing with an old case file that was closed years ago. Detective Brain cracks the folder open again because he would rather investigate an impossible mystery than face a quiet truth. If replaying the past doesn't work, Detective Brain turns his magnifying glass toward the future. He pulls a fresh piece of red string. He doesn't collect evidence, he collects coincidences. One missing emoji becomes Exhibit C. He confuses possibility with probability. You receive a forward email from your manager. Can we talk tomorrow? Detective Brain launches a full federal investigation. Within 8 seconds, he's charted the entire collapse. First, you're getting fired. Second, your landlord gives you 30 days. Third, you're moving into your parents' basement to 10 goats. All from 4 words and a question mark. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He isn't wrong often. He's wrong just rarely enough to keep you listening, so you run. Your heart rate spikes, your jaw tightens, and you check your phone for the 4th time in 2 minutes. You spend 40 minutes rehearsing 3 different ways to say "sounds good," so you don't sound stupid, awkward, or desperate, completely missing the actual human sitting right across from you. You mistake mental movement for progress, but you haven't moved an inch. Detective Brain has just generated 20 brand new uncertainties to solve the original one. Of course, Detective Brain isn't useless. He solves real cases every day. The trouble starts when he investigates crimes that never happened. You sit up late at night replaying a friendship that faded away 3 years ago without a fight. Nobody ever announced the ending. One day you were sending each other memes, then birthdays, then nothing. Detective Brain traces the red string across the wall, desperately searching for the exact sentence where it all went wrong, convinced there's one missing piece of evidence that explains it all, refusing to accept that sometimes people just drift apart. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Life doesn't close every case. There is a room at the back of your mind filled with files that will never have an ending. You will never know if a decision you avoided 5 years ago was the right one. You won't get a final transcript revealing how your life would look on the other path. Think about how strange that is. There are people you've already met for the last time, and neither of you knew it. Somewhere right now, a stranger remembers a specific afternoon with you that you've completely forgotten. The joke you made, the shirt you were wearing, that case will never close. Which brings us to why Detective Brain refuses to drop it. The detective isn't chasing answers. He's postponing reality. Every investigation eventually needs a suspect. Eventually, Detective Brain turns his magnifying glass toward you. He turns your decisions into evidence and treats a simple mistake like a full confession. Pretty soon, a single awkward silence becomes another exhibit in the case against yourself. He is currently considering filing for a search warrant on your self-esteem. The detective isn't trying to ruin your life. He's trying to solve every case before it can become evidence against you. He hovers his hand over the red case closed stamp, hesitates, and slowly pulls it back. He never stamps the file because closing it was never the point. Investigating it was, because once the file closes, the story ends. There is only reality, and reality demands that you sit with what is rather than what could have been. Uncertainty was never a crime scene to be solved. It was only ever the admission price of being alive. Understanding this doesn't fire Detective Brain. He refuses to retire. Late at night when the house is quiet, he will still pull out the red string over an ambiguous email or a 2-word text. Detectives investigate. It's what they do. What changes isn't the detective. What changes is whether you sit in the interrogation room with him. Real relief isn't finding the final answer. Real relief is accepting that peace was never about solving every file. It was realizing that life was never designed to give every case an ending. There's no point arguing with his theories or cross-examining his evidence. Instead, look past the badge to the fear driving it and accept that some files aren't meant to be solved. They're just meant to be shelved. Close the cabinet, turn off the light, go home. What's one thing your mind has been over-investigating lately? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to join us next Sunday. And for now, try to give your detective brain a break for the day.